Hello and welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of sports. And about 4 weeks ago, Kevin Durant wanted out of Brooklyn. He wanted a trade. 4 weeks later, what have we heard?
A lot.
Of nothing. A lot of nothing because Kevin Durant.
A lot of whispers in the wind.
A lot of dust in the wind, but no actual tangible trade for Kevin Durant. So that's what we're going to explore today. We're going to explore all of the potential trade scenarios that Kevin Durant could possibly be involved in. So Tim, are you ready to go?
Let's run it.
All right. First, let's recap how in the world we got here. Kevin Durant was involved in a sign and trade between the Golden State Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets after the 2019 season, where he signed a 4-year, $164 million contract. That is up, and now with the Nets, he's re-upped for 4 more years, $194 million, making him a free agent at the 2026 season. Why is this important? Because now the bridge is burnt.
Boom, trade request.
And now Kevin Durant is
instead of sign and trade, it's a sign and trade request.
It is a trade request.
Certainly an unusual move, but you're seeing a little bit more of it now with guys trying to explore different markets.
Kyrie Irving, they traded James Harden, got Ben Simmons. It has been an
still hasn't seen the floor in a Brooklyn Net uniform.
It's been a wild few years with Kevin Durant's Brooklyn Nets because, you enter as the favorite to win and then you don't win and then you get swept in the first round of the playoffs.
Expectations
and now your star is out. So let's explore what the asking price for Kevin Durant is. We saw Minnesota and Utah make a deal between Rudy Gobert and a whole lot where it was
that set the tone for this absolutely insane NBA offseason where if Gobert goes for that, realistically...
Well, first, let's say what it is. It was 5 players plus 4 first-round picks, which included...
Unheard of.
Which included Minnesota's first-round pick this year. So literally traded for Rudy Gobert as much as you could give up. So if that's the price for a guy like Rudy Gobert, imagine the asking price that Kevin Durant is going to command, which is...
Just give him your whole franchise. I don't know.
Yeah, which is an all-star caliber player of 25 years old or younger, some bench depth, plus, and as many draft picks as the current CBA allows, which is 4 first-round picks, because you can only trade up to 7 years in advance and you cannot trade consecutive first round picks. So 23, 25, 27, 29.
Yeah.
And then any pick swaps that they may hold with another team. So it's clearly a lot. And the Brooklyn Nets have been searching around and there have been a lot of potential rumors. So Tim, I think it's about ready we explore those destinations. The first we'll explore is Kevin Durant's preferred destination, the Phoenix Suns. Now, that to me seemed like the most likely option until the DeAndre Ayton situation, because DeAndre Ayton was a free agent and the Indiana Pacers gave him a 4-year, $133 million deal. Now, he was a restricted free agent, so Phoenix could match the offer sheet, which they did. So what that means for Phoenix is that DeAndre Ayton cannot be involved in a sign and trade without a year, for a year without permission, because of that sheet. And the Nets really would have wanted DeAndre Ayton, plus. Now that DeAndre Ayton is locked down for this much and he's at least on the team for a year, this makes things so much more complicated. For example, if the Suns wanted to deal, say, Devin Booker, the Nets would have to move Ben Simmons, which neither party would want to do anyway, because why would the Phoenix Suns want to exchange out Devin Booker?
Give up Devin Booker and get Benjamin Simmons.
Also,
for Kevin, like a win in my book. I mean,
also with Kevin Durant, but would it be worth the
realistically? They really
Simmons?
wanted to give up a lot of their younger talent to combine Booker and Durant for that power duo there. I really thought that the Phoenix Suns were going to be the major frontrunner until that Pacers Ayton situation played out, where the Suns needed to match that offer sheet to keep him, and then that locks him in for that year. So now it's just like, okay, I kind of would have liked to see KD end up with the Suns, but
me too.
Now we've got 4 other teams in the mix.
Yeah, the Suns are all but eliminated. It's not impossible, but it just
It's
pushes them
extremely unlikely at this point.
way down the pecking order. And the next team that we're going to explore is the other one of KD's initial preferred destinations, the Miami Heat, who are actually still to this day involved in the KD sweepstakes. Now, what the asking price is, I don't know, because there's the trade that would potentially involve Bam Adebayo, one of the Heat's young stars, plus guys like Tyler
I just feel like they're
Hero,
unlikely to give up Bam.
you know, and if the Miami Heat and Pat Riley were to go and want to win another championship before Pat Riley's time in Miami is done, this would obviously be the quickest way to do so. You go get Kevin Durant, you combine him with Jimmy Butler, and it would be a nasty duo.
It'd be a very lethal duo.
Yeah, it's a great hypothetical, and whether Pat Riley wants to go all in and give up the farm for Kevin Durant, because that was one of the initial like trade scenarios, like the trade rumors that like Miami trades half of their team for Kevin Durant, which is
that was one of the funniest things I saw. It's just like, oh, they just give up half their team and they get Kevin Durant.
I mean,
which
Kevin
realistically, Durant, I mean, here's the thing. That's what it's going to take for these type of trades. You have to give up like half of your assets in general, which is why you don't see trades like this typically happen, because of how much has to be given up just for one singular player. Most teams don't want to pull that trigger, even for that caliber player, to give up that much of their future for one guy who you don't necessarily know is going to be that one actual piece you need. Because as you've seen, I mean, that's what the Nets thought when they did the sign and trade to get him, partnering him with Kyrie and Harden. So it's hard for these teams to pull the trigger with all of these assets that they're being forced to give up.
Granted, let's not forget who we're talking about. It's Kevin Durant, and
absolutely
he's one of the best basketball players on the planet, if not the best.
You also have to think about the potential injury concern, though, because he has dealt with injuries here and there where it's like, obviously, I mean, you have to overlook that with a caliber player like him, but I think that is just a tiny part of what makes teams a little bit hesitant to throw literally the kitchen sink at them.
Yeah, so I mean, we got more teams to go over.
Boy, do we.
Yeah, and the next is the Golden State Warriors, which
that would be so wild.
KD back to Golden State would be an absolute bombshell. And
realistically, though, they are one of the teams that,
but it's not gonna happen, though.
I know, I get that it's very unlikely, but with the young assets that they do have, plus the potential,
they definitely do.
They are the ones that have the most young assets to potentially give up, which is of course what Brooklyn's looking for. But like you said, given all the different contract stipulations and whatnot, it's still very unlikely because of the guys that they would have to give up and or not give up.
And the guys that they would have to give up if Golden State were to acquire Kevin Durant, it would be a package surrounding Andrew Wiggins or Jordan Poole. If Golden State was to give away Andrew Wiggins, they would also have to acquire Ben Simmons because
of that contract
rookie extension list.
Can't have two of them.
Same kind of situation as Devin Booker. But yeah, it would be Wiggins or Poole plus Moses Moody, James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, and how many first round picks that they would want to, give up. So Golden State definitely has the assets.
Those young assets are crucial for that deal. But
however, both teams have kind of shut that down. And because just communication between one side and the other, the assets
don't really fall into the right places, especially with that Wiggins Simmons dealing situation. Because I think if that stipulation wasn't there, I think they definitely would consider giving up Wiggins and those.
Consider it, yes. Pulling the trigger,
like I said, that's the hardest part.
That's the thing. But the most recent offer that came in for Kevin Durant was with the Boston Celtics, where Boston was going to acquire Kevin Durant, but then the most recent trade was that Boston countered and
counter offer.
The counter offer was KD for Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, a 2025 first round pick, and then they were going to swap 2027 and 2029 firsts. Now this is where
value, but
there's a lot of value, and this is an interesting thing because it has gained the most traction, and it doesn't really.
There's a little bit of controversy even with this deal. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's kind of interesting because I mean, some people are some opinions that I've heard is, would you rather give up Jaylen Brown or would you rather give up Tatum? Some people
Yeah.
are implying that it may be more valuable to them actually to give up Tatum in the deal than Jaylen Brown. And it's like there's a lot to be said for both sides of that argument. But either way, I mean, this would be quite a deal if it went through. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
see it
I don't
necessarily happening,
either.
but it's certainly really interesting to take a look at or what it would mean
I
specifically for the Celtics.
I think it's the closest that Kevin Durant has come to being dealt so far because there have
And
been
this is still very recent, so it's very possible that we could see some more little wrinkles in some counter offers here in the next
yeah,
couple
there
of
have been
days. But
offers proposed from Boston, there have been offers proposed from Brooklyn, and who knows, it could be interesting. And those are the four main players still at hand for Kevin Durant: Phoenix, Golden State, Boston, and Miami. But there are two
there's
other
a
possibilities, yeah, that
little
we're gonna
little
quickly
pixie
run down.
dust pinch in
Yeah.
there, yeah.
Yeah, the Toronto Raptors are also entertaining offers for Kevin Durant. The main piece returning in that deal would be Scotty Barnes, the Raptors' young star. Other other pieces like Gary Trent Jr. and OG Anunoby can also be involved. And the thing about Toronto is that they have full control of all future draft picks except for 2024, where they have their second round pick owed to Memphis. But the thing about Toronto is, would they want to go all in and give up Scotty Barnes plus
It's like,
for
are they really in that
Kevin Durant?
situation?
Would
Are
that
they
be
really in that
smart for
type of
the team's
situation
future?
for the win now? It's like,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if Toronto, out of all of these teams that we've looked at, is in the best position to give up that much to bring in Kevin
Mhm.
Durant to put with someone else. I mean, yes, they do have Pascal Siakam and all that, but in terms of like star pairings, it's not the best one that I've seen in terms of what it would end up with.
Yeah,
So I'm not
does
sure
it
if the
really make the
Raptors,
most sense here?
despite having control of all their picks, I'm not sure if it really makes the most sense in terms of what the end product would be as a team.
Yeah. And another one, which I think this team is in an even better position than Toronto, the New Orleans Pelicans, where they have Brandon Ingram to
Yeah,
offer, plus
BI
plenty
would
of
be
role
a very
players.
interesting piece.
Yes, and they have plenty of pick swaps to deal via trades of Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday to the Lakers and the Bucks, respectively. You know, like
Yeah.
pairing Zion and CJ McCollum potentially with Kevin Durant, I think that instantly changes things for the Pelicans. However, what the word is around New Orleans is that they're not going to really put too much look into Kevin Durant because they're excited about the young core that they're building. There's a lot of potential. They gave Zion
I mean,
Williams
there's a lot of promise
rookie
around New
extension.
Orleans right now, so I
You
I
have
understand that.
McCollum, you have Ingram. Ingram is 24 and an all-star, so you definitely have pieces there. If you get a few more pieces, not quite Kevin Durant level, but just like if you acquire pieces where you don't have to throw the farm at
Yeah, I
plus
mean,
the kitchen
there's
sink.
certainly a team. There's certainly a team that's on the up and up with that young core and with guys that are slowly emerging and getting more comfortable fitting into the roles on their team. I mean, you even look at like the very specific role that Jose Alvarado fit into that team. It's like those type of
Grand Theft
guys.
Alvarado.
Love that guy, but those
So
type of
fun.
guys are the guys that are so valuable to teams that maybe not worth massive contracts,
Mm-hmm.
but still have crucial pieces of that team
Yeah.
and what make up that identity. And that's one of the things that the Pelicans do have going for them. So despite the guys that they have to potentially give up in that deal and what sort of final product that they could put out there with adding Kevin Durant, I'm not sure if it really makes sense for them because I feel like they have the best foundation for a more traditional continuation of a rebuild that they've been working on for these past couple of years and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like
The
I like what they've
Pelicans,
got going on.
they feel comfortable about where they're at right now. And we are going to explore one more final possibility, and that is Kevin Durant goes nowhere. That
Stays
nothing
put.
happens, that Kevin Durant stays with Brooklyn. And here's the thing, it's not like a traditional situation where Kevin Durant has a year left on his contract or
Yeah,
two
and like
years, where it's like
could be like an
trade
unrestricted
trade
free
him.
agent.
I mentioned in the beginning of the video that Kevin Durant signed his 4-year extension to stay with Brooklyn until 2026 for a reason. And this is why they have 4
There's really
more
no
years
pressure
of team control. And there is no pressure for the Nets to move
other
him.
than just like
So
the
what
general like
yeah,
locker room tension, which clearly, I mean, with everything that's going on,
between
they're not the most
Kyrie and
cohesive locker
KD.
room.
Yeah,
I can understand
and the
why they
Ben
want to
Simmons
explore all of these,
situation.
but like you said, they've got him locked up. So I mean, if he's willing to continue to play there and whatnot, and still put forth his best effort and try to lead that team, I mean, you still have a generational talent on your team. And if you
Yeah,
can maybe get Ben Simmons to actually play basketball, maybe he can be at least a role player. I
maybe,
mean,
comma. And see,
it's
here's
tough
the
to tell,
thing.
but yeah, realistically, I
Yes.
think him staying put is the most likely outcome just because of how difficult it is to complete a trade of this magnitude.
Brooklyn can sift through offers and they can pick the best one, or they can just not pick any at all. Kevin Durant, as unhappy as he may be with the current situation, doesn't have to go anywhere.
Nope.
So, with all of that being said, we're gonna make some predictions as to where will Kevin Durant end up next NBA season. Tim, where's he going?
Realistically, I would love to see the biggest trade of essentially all time go through. I don't see it happening. I really believe that he will be on
Mm-hmm.
the Nets lineup starting next season. I think it's just too difficult to put all these pieces together and for both sides to be like, all right, we're gonna go for it for a guy
Yeah,
of that talent, that magnitude. I just don't see it. It's too difficult. That's
I
why a
don't
trade like this
either.
has never happened before.
Yeah, I don't either, Tim. Like, yeah, we can explore all of these
It's
possibilities, but
so
but
fun
the
to look at all
kicker,
the different options,
mhm,
but it's just so unlikely.
the kicker of the 4 more years of team control, they can literally just tell him, "Hey, 1 more year, mend things with Kyrie in the short term, and then we'll trade you." I mean, realistically, Brooklyn doesn't have to do anything, and I don't think they will.
Yeah, I don't think they will because they've got the lineup right now with the guys that they have returning, even though there's not great locker room chemistry and whatnot. They've even got some young and upcoming guys that are turning into some good role
Mhm.
players for them and whatnot. So realistically, I think given what they have and how difficult it's been for them to get legitimate trade offers that they find intriguing, I think it makes the most sense for them to stay put, run it back this 1 year, see if they can get guys healthy, have Kyrie play actually the whole year and whatnot, and hopefully get Ben Simmons back on the floor to see what that team can look like full strength before they decide to just jump ship and try to deal both of those guys and essentially rebuild again.
Yeah, that's you pretty much summed it up, and that's all we got for the Kevin Durant potential trade sweepstakes. Who knows? Maybe in about a month or so, some breaking news would break, and then Kevin Durant's a Sun or a Pelican or
That'd be fun.
maybe a Bull or a Pacer for our sake, but that is never going to happen. But it's fun to hypothesize with those teams and the rest. So we got a bunch more content for you coming up. We have a lot of baseball stuff. We've been doing football stuff, NBA, hockey, college basketball. If you want it, chances are it's probably there. So if you like what we do, go check out some of our other stuff and like and subscribe for more content. And we out.